Hello everyone, and welcome to Zero Hour. This game is a tactical shooter kind of similar to SWAT 4, and very much like SWAT 4, it has a level that's a little bit different from the other ones. Now, I have played this level before on my own time, so the actual content of the mission won't be a surprise to me. However, I believe that the very slow and tactical pace of this game will lend itself to more analytical commentary so that I can discuss both this level and other levels like it in different games. Oh, these cutscenes are new. The game has been updated since the last time I played it, so this will be something I haven't seen before.
শিল্প আসলে কি? শিল্প হচ্ছে মানুষের ক্রিয়েটিভ স্কিল আর কল্পনার এক ধরনের প্রকাশ। আর আমি সেটাই করি। আমি আসলে নিজেকে একজন অন্যরকম মানুষ হিসাবে দেখি। তোমার থেকে আলাদা, সবার থেকেই আলাদা। অন্য সবাই যা করে ওইটা আমি কেন করব, তাই না? মজাটা কোথায় তাহলে? দেখো, আমি যেটা করি ওইটাই শিল্প। এমন একটা শিল্প যেটা সবার থেকে আলাদা। আমি মানুষের শরীর কাটি, ভেতর থেকে সব বের করি, আবার সব একসাথে করি, ঠিক সৃষ্টিকর্তার মতো। আর মাঝে মাঝে তো আমি ওদের চিৎকার শুনতে জ্যান্ত অবস্থায় কেটে ফেলি। ওদের শরীর নিয়ে আমি কি কি করতে পারি এটা ভাবতে আমি অস্থির হয়ে যাই। একবার ভাবো, এই পুরুষ, মহিলা, বাচ্চাদের কেমন লাগবে যখন ওরা জানবে যে ওরা এক ধরনের শিল্পের অংশ। আমি জানি সেটা সম্ভব না, কিন্তু ভাবো একবার, তুমি কি এমন কিছুর অংশ হতে চাও না যেটা ভয়ানক সুন্দর, একদম আলাদা?
Alright, I actually do have some thoughts on that cutscene, but I'll save those for when we're in game. I'm going to read the brief, and keep in mind it does seem to be kind of a Google Translate situation here. I believe the developers are Bangladeshi, but I'm not entirely sure about that. We've had several reports of a serial killer on the loose, and we finally found the location. The suspect is a psycho doctor who had done experiments on innocent patients. He kidnaps these civilians and commits gruesome homicides. Suspect was last seen carrying a folder, which might help us with more intel about him and the lost patients. The folder is brown in color and has a red ribbon tied around it. It contains a sketchy symbol with a cross on the front. You are to breach in, locate him, and secure the documents. Keep an eye out for any hostages. And now we're going to get our loadout screen. So as in SWAT 4, we'll have to choose our loadout. There are no AI squad mates at this time. In this game, at this moment, single player is done by starting a private co-op game. So it's going to take kind of a long time to clear this place because I'm doing it solo. I don't think that's really how this game is meant to be experienced, but that's how I'm doing it. So we're going to be clearing this building, so we're going to go with the MP5 with a flashlight and a reflex sight. You want to be prepared for tight corners and small rooms. And when clearing a building, I always like to take it from the top down. Now, we can't get to the absolute roof by rappelling. However, I believe we should be able to climb up onto here or over here. We could also shut off the power box, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this whole thing in night vision. We're going to select the side road entry and climb up onto the terrace. Alright, so there is our entry point. Now remember, this is a tactical shooter. We can die in 1 or 2 hits. Now if I press tab, we can see Suspects Alive 1, and we have 5 objectives. Bring order to chaos, neutralize Abul Kashem, he's our target, rescue Amira Khan, who is a known hostage, rescue all of the civilians, which includes any unknown hostages, and secure the described folder. There's also a possibility that these rooms may be booby-trapped, because the suspect may suspect that we're coming. So we need to make sure that we're very, very careful when going through doors or windows or anything like that. So we're going to rappel up here. As I said before, or I think I said before, when clearing buildings, I always prefer to start from the top and work my way down. How do I turn on the flashlight? It's been a little while since I played. T. Okay. We're going to want to be very, very careful because we can die in just 1 or 2 hits. And if we trigger a trap, that's going to take most of our health. The suspect can be anywhere in the building. I've only played this level once before, so I don't even have the benefit of knowing where he might be. But as most of this is just going to be clearing empty rooms, I want to take this opportunity, and this is the real point of this video, to talk about things that have a similar vibe to this level and a similar place in their games. So you might have seen earlier on this channel, I played a couple of levels from SWAT 4. I believe that this level is specifically inspired by one of those levels, and that's the Fairfax residence. In that level, you served an arrest warrant on... Oh, there's a civilian.
Police! Get down on your knees!
I forgot this isn't SWAT 4. I don't have to yell compliance. I can just ask them to follow me. Okay, come with me. We need to... Unlike SWAT 4, we cannot just restrain civilians. We have to actually lead them out of the building safely. So it's a little bit more challenging. I think I hear voices. Okay, you stay close. I don't want you getting shot. I swear I hear voices. Me yelling may have been a mistake. Okay, here's the stairwell. Anyway, I believe this level was inspired by the Fairfax residence, in which you served an arrest warrant on a suspected serial killer. And when you got into that house, you found far more than the residential home that you came in expecting. And that level was very atmospheric, and it was very effective for reasons that this level, honestly, has already botched. So, to start off with, we get a cutscene with the killer just describing his whole MO. To me, that's really lame, especially compared to SWAT 4, which is a game that came 15 years before this. The reason that bothers me so much is because in SWAT 4... There's the ominous tricycle. In SWAT 4, you went into that home having no idea what to expect. You knew there was a suspect, you knew he might be dangerous, you knew what he was suspected of, but that was it. Everything else you knew about him, you learned as you progressed through the house. And as you went through, it created a whole eerie vibe as you were going room to room, and just kind of getting a picture of who this guy is and what he's like, knowing that at the end of all of this, you're going to encounter the man himself. And so it builds up its threat dynamically just as you make your way through the environment doing your job. It was great. It was a great example of in-game storytelling. Here, they just kind of... I mean, the briefing was bad enough, but in the cutscene, he tells you his whole story, and then the briefing just tells you exactly what he was doing. Why not make it so that, you know, this guy... Okay, I'll write a better story right here, right now. Is there somebody in here? Or is that just on the TV? Is there somebody in here, or was that just on the TV? I'm assuming... I haven't heard anything else. I assume that noise was on the TV. See, maybe that's also inspired by the Fairfax level. In the Fairfax level, as you made your way through the house, one of the pieces of environmental storytelling was you could come across a radio on playing a news network featuring audio of the mother of one of the kidnapping victims basically begging for the return of her daughter. Hi. So maybe it actually was you that I heard. Okay, we have a second hostage. I'm gonna cease clearing rooms for right now and bring her to the exit. Once they're at the exit, I believe they're safe and can no longer be harmed by enemies. I'm being a little bit careless with these corners right now because I'm trying to focus on commentary. Where did you go? You need to stay close to me. This guy could come out of a door at any time. And he's likely to be armed. But yeah, going through, seeing the filth and the disrepair that this guy's house was in, coming across his enabling mother, who you'll probably have to pepper spray, it painted a picture as you went through. Here, the picture is painted before you even enter the level. They just told us, yeah, he's a mad doctor who's doing experiments on patients. I'll write you a better story right now. What if it was like, you know, several people have gone missing in the area, and what they determined was that the thing they have in common is that they were all patients of this doctor. And so they asked him to come in to answer some questions, and he never showed, and so the warrant is issued, and you have to go pick him up. And from there, you learn the whole story entirely through the environment. Bam, I just came up with a much better way to get this level across. And it's such a shame that the developers didn't think to do that, because I'm just taking inspiration from the same level that I'm pretty sure this is inspired by. And you can't deny its roots, because this is a game that seems in a lot of ways like the closest thing we have to a spiritual successor to SWAT 4. I mean, I suppose there's Ready or Not, if that ever decides to come out. Spoiler alert, it's not going to. Now, levels like this really do have a special place in my heart, because... And even this level does succeed at that to an extent, even if I don't think this is anywhere near as good as SWAT 4. And that's because it's the kind of thing... I suppose I should refer to it as a Large Marge scare. That's what this kind of level is. It's the kind of scare that is so out of place for the type of media that it's in. This is not a horror game. Just as SWAT 4 wasn't a horror game. Yet, seemingly out of nowhere, it places you into a horror-themed level. And by doing that, it catches you so off guard. It's so much more unnerving when horror feels out of place. Oh, there's a whole other stairwell here. This goes down... Hang on, this goes down much farther than the other stairwell. I'm gonna save this for last. Now I'm wondering, can I drop a light stick or something? No, unfortunately it doesn't look like I had the ability to drop a light stick. That is kind of lame. Alright, but before I go down the ominous concrete stairs, I have to finish clearing the rest of the building. I believe I left off over here. I don't think I... Hear that? I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but I can hear very faint voices on my right. Yeah, I definitely hear crying. The reason I keep looking down as I go through doors is because anytime you enter a door and it's completely randomized, there's a possibility of there being a tripwire explosive across the door, and it can be very hard to spot. The reason I referred to... Alright. The reason I referred to this type of level as a Large Marge scare is, so for those who don't know, there's a scene in one of the old Pee-wee movies. I don't remember which one it is. It might be It's either Pee-wee's Big Adventure or Big Top Pee-wee, where he's walking down the road late at night, and keep in mind, this is Pee-wee Herman. This is a kitty show, and he's picked up by a trucker, this creepy old lady, who starts telling him the story about the most gruesome car accident she's ever come across. And some time passes, we get a time skip, and it cuts to him just, like, sitting in the seat, utterly petrified at the story she's been telling him. And she finishes it by saying, and when they finally pulled the body from the twisted metal wreck, it looked just like this. And she turns her head to him, and it displays the most terrifying, like, claymation effect in the entire world. And Pee-wee screams and gets out of the car, and she just kind of cackles and leaves him at the truck stop. When he's inside the truck stop, they tell him, he says that, like, Large Marge sent him, and they tell him the story about how she went off the road, like, years ago, and that he must have encountered her ghost. Now, that's a pretty standard, like, Phantom Hitchhiker / Hitchhiker Encounters Phantom story. But you have to look at it. What makes it stand out so much is the context in which it's presented. This is a children's movie. A children's movie for Pee-wee's Playhouse. And this just happens right out of nowhere in the middle of it. And because you're so taken off guard, it makes it all that much more memorable. That kind of scare, I am completely obsessed with. I don't even remember where I'm going at this point. Okay, down the concrete staircase of doom. I have a feeling this is going to be the door to that blocked off area. No, we have a back door here. Something that I will say this level does pretty well, especially in single player, is that because there's only one suspect, that looks like a false wall if I ever saw one. I thought I just heard a breath. Can I open this? No. Oh, yes, I can. I just have to do it from the side. Okay. Okay, I'd say we are officially very likely to encounter him now. We're also a lot more likely to encounter traps now, so we have to be very careful. That's blood under the door. 3 doorways. I'm going to start with the left. The genius of only having one suspect in this level. What have I just stumbled onto? I played this a few months ago when I got the game, but I don't remember this. I don't know if the levels have been changed at all. There was something like this, but I don't remember this in particular. I don't remember, like, a table saw. Anyway, if I could ever get a thought out, the genius of only having one suspect in a fairly large environment is that it really gives you this where's the spider mentality as you're going through it. That corpse looks like it's been here for some time. That's not only dismembered, that's an advanced state of decomposition. Cassette tapes. Now there's a trap right in front of this door, so I have to crouch down and get very close to it and press V to disarm. And I'm also going to remove this wedge. It seems like if I had come from the other side, I would have kicked the door open and set off the trap. That's the idea. Awful lot of doors down here, and I still haven't encountered the suspect. Now, as in SWAT 4, I'm supposed to shout compliance to try and take him alive, but who knows if he'll actually surrender. Okay, he actually did it. Great. I didn't know if he would. I kind of figured for only having one suspect that he might be scripted to fight back. Now, as in SWAT 4, I do have to pick up his gun, so where is it? Got it. Now the suspect is in custody. Now this is a nice detail, is they have the particle effects of the flies swarming around. But I'm not done yet. I have to finish disarming traps and look for any more hostages that might be down here. I talked about this a little bit at the end of my I think this will be 2 days ago's video by the time you see this, the 2 horror maps in Gary's mod video. I encountered an enemy, well, not an enemy, but there was an NPC who was really scary, who was just sitting on a couch and basically self-mutilating. And he was just there, not responding to anything the player did. When you came back, he was gone. And that is such a genius trope to me, because it's kind of, I call it the where's the spider type of scare. There's a threat, you've seen it, you've seen the threat, but you know where it is, and it's barely fine where it is. But you look away for 1 second and look back and it's gone. Now it has that, even though you've already seen it in its full effect, you don't know where it is. It could, ow! I just set off a trap. Okay. Luckily it only took 70% of my health. But I'm not going to get away with that again. I'm going to die if I activate one more. Oh, that scared me. I kind of felt like I was free and clear at this point, but sadly it was not to be. This level is kind of a whole level of that. It's a whole level of where's the spider, because you know there's one suspect. You know he's totally nuts. But you don't know where he is, and it does kind of allow the tension to build as you're going and sweeping the building. Knowing that it's a whole large space, you're surrounded by doors, and he could be anywhere. Now, I don't think at this point that there's going to be any hostages left. I think all I have to do is find the thing that I've totally neglected to do up until this point. And grab that envelope, wherever it is. Now, before I go looking for that envelope, I'm going to talk a little bit about what this level does well, and how it kind of throws it away. So as we look around here, there is a good amount of environmental storytelling going on. We have the cameras, we have the different torture devices, we have a whole homebrew dungeon here. We look around and we see that there's a lot of bodies, meaning that this guy's probably been at this for a very long time, much longer than anybody knows. And to top it all off, and this is the biggest detail of this level, it's all hidden behind a false wall in the basement that you might miss on your first clearing of the building, and only discover because of the stained footprints going into the wall. That's all excellent. And having the pristine upper levels means that you can experience this level 2 different ways depending on what your outlook is on the reports. That is assuming you go with my idea, where it's just, yeah, a bunch of patients have gone missing, they're all linked to him, we want you to go serve the warrant. Say you think, okay, this is going to be one of those, like, false alarm levels, like some games have. We're going to sweep this entire building, we're going to find the guy lounging on a couch with some ruffles or something, and that's going to be all there is to it. And then you experience the horror. After you've already cleared the place and can't find him, you just notice that little detail, open the false wall, and realize just how wrong you were and just the extent of it. Alternatively, say you do think he's the real deal, say you do think something really bad is going on here. You could go through the whole place with your anxiety and tension building as you go room to room in this whole place, finding nothing for a very long time. Until you find that door. The problem is, though either of those would have been a very great way to experience this level, and I do love things like that kind of allow a level's narrative to work regardless of how the player feels about it, where it kind of works no matter how you think of the actual events. Far Cry 5 was something that did this very well with the silent protagonist. But without going off on a tangent, this level throws all that away because it tells you everything. It tells you right at the start that we're dealing with a crazy cannibalistic serial killer. It's just so disappointing because... And it's not like the developers have learned either. Because that cutscene, like I said, isn't new. They've only just added that in the past month or so, because it definitely wasn't there when I first played this. It's so disappointing because it's literally just, I think that's the envelope. Yep. It's literally just the briefing and the cutscene that ruin it. The level itself, the contents of the level itself are perfectly fine. But now that we completed all of our objectives, we've rescued 2 hostages, including one unknown. We've brought the suspect into custody alive, and we've recovered the envelope with the intelligence. Excuse me. So now we just come through here, get back to... Oh, there's actually... Huh, I never noticed this before. Yeah, he has a whole... See, this is some more good environmental storytelling. But I'm kind of not totally sure about this placement. Like, these are probably some bought assets, but why are there bones just sitting on the ground if he's burying them 6 feet deep? And also, if you found this first, it would kind of invalidate everything I just said about allowing the tension to build. Or at least allowing the false comfort to build either way.
All enemies have been neutralized.
$117. How do you figure that? And I lost 3 points, so it would have been 120 if I hadn't triggered that one trap. I actually lost 3 points for that. I have to say, I don't really understand how that works. But anyway, that was the 0 hour Cafe 14 level. Like I said, I do believe it's heavily inspired by the Fairfax mission from SWAT 4. Now, the game itself is very good, and if you like tactical shooters, especially if you have some friends to play it with, this game typically goes on sale for like $6, and it's only like $12 off sale. So, if you're a fan of tactical shooters, I do highly recommend this game. But in terms of subtlety, this level kind of botches it. But anyway, if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.